card fighters and friends and family and whoever's watching from around the world today. Welcome back to my channel, where today I will be discussing one of my favourite Nova Grappler decks from before Standard, Blau's. Basically, German space robots, essentially. They're all named after, planets and moons and shit. So yeah, this deck is quite fun. The aim of the deck is to restand your field through the Vanguard, basically. It uses the limit break mechanic, even with the stride, to restand units in bulk. So it's not a very skill 1, skill 1, skill 1. It's more, here's a skill, now the whole board standing, or like something like that. So yeah, it's quite fun. The art's nice. It's a very, it wasn't a very popular deck because it was never a top deck in the G era. It had a bit of a moment in the sun back in Limit Break, but yeah, so let's jump right in. Show you guys what it's all about. So for the starter, we're on Young Blau Fetcher, which is a really good name given his skill. So his first skill is Act Rigard, +1, put him into the soul. And if you have a Vanguard with Blau in its card name, which, of course you're going to have, reveal 4 cards from the top of the deck. Put up to 1 grade 1 or greater card with Blau in its card name from among them into your hand, and then shuffle. So it's good, it just allows you to early grade 3 search if it's in the top 4, or get that key piece that's up there. Basically, check the top 4, put one into your hand, essentially. So, yeah, I think it's a really nice starter for what it is. On to grade 3 is around 4 copies of New Mond Blau Krieger. So this was Blau's G era grade 3, the one that they got in during G. It's good fun. It sort of mirrors his counterpart, which you'll be seeing in a second. So his first skill is when your G unit with Blau in its original card name strides, so it has to be a Blau to get that skill, choose one of your units with Blau in its card name and it gets 5,000 power until the end of turn. That includes the Vanguard if you want to give the Vanguard 5k. But, so that's that. His second skill is when your unit with Blau in its card name rides this unit, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose up to 4 of your units with Blau in their card names, stand them, they get 5k until the end of turn. So the idea is when you use your stride skills, which will, I'll get into more detail about those later, you ride Blau and stand 4 units. So you'd be standing the columns essentially. Yeah, so it's pretty good. It really does what you want to do well. Standing multiple units, giving them all power. It's good fun. Really enjoy this one. Next, on to the next grade 3, we play Mond Blau Krieger. So this was this is the break ride. This was basically the original Mond. This is New Mond. So Mond Blau Krieger is a limit break skill. When your Nova Grappler rides this unit, it gets 10,000 power, and the auto skill of when this unit attacks a Vanguard, you may pay the cost, which is Counterblast 1. If you do, stand all of your Nova Grappler rearguards. Also has a skill, when this unit is boosted by a Nova Grappler, it gets 2k. So it's a 13k attacker when boosted, but that's a Vanguard only skill as well. So the general idea is you want to be, switching between these two to get the field restanding. So that's it for my grade 3s. Before I move on to the grade 2s, another option is running 1 or 2 Galaxy Blaus, which was the original thing way back when. You'd do that. The reason you might play 1 or 2 of these is because if you're on Mond, the break ride, and you use your stride skill, then you throw him on there, that does give you an option where every hit if he hits, if your rearguards hit, then this unit can stand up. I choose not to because, if you don't hit, then you're in a really bad situation for the next stride turn. You lose what the deck is trying to do, so that's why I don't play it, but that is definitely an option if you want it. So on to grade 2s, play 4 copies of regular Blau lands. I do apologise if I make mistakes with the names. So his skill is an auto regard, counter +1, soul +1. When you grade 0 grade a Vanguard with Blau and its card name attacks, you may pay the cost. If you do, stand this unit and it gets 2k. So yeah, it is a way to restand something if you want to. For example, if you're about to use his skill during the battle turn, you can stand him up and then use Numon's skill to stand Numon's booster as well, if you want. But, you know, having a grade 2 that can restand if you're in a bit of a bad situation or, you know, something like that. Or even another good way to use it is if you restand him with a skill, you can attack with him, then attack with the Vanguard, and then stand him up again. So he can get, you know, like 3 attacks and a turn off if you set it up right and have the resources. So 4 of this I think is really good. I think it plays really well with what you're trying to do as well. So there are 3 copies of Bad Bard, Blau Cannon. Yeah, Bad or Bard, I don't know. So its first skill is the number of cards in your damage zone is more than or equal to the number of your cards in your opponent's damage zone, this unit gets 2k. So with the limit break aspect of this deck, this shouldn't really be an issue. But, you know, it's an 11k if you have an extra damage. So its second skill is act regard once per turn, GB1, counter +1. Reveal the top card of your deck and put it into your damage zone face down. If you put a card with Blau and its card name down, this unit gets 5k. And at the end of that turn, choose a card from your damage zone and heal it. So the main thing with that is, again, use this deck using limit break. If you want to go into a stride and you've only got 3 damage, you can, you know, chuck this down, get that limit break 4, and go do your turn and refund the damage at the end of turn. That's why he's there, just as like a fixer in case you need that. So 3 of those. He comes in handy. You use the skill every now and again, but not too often. There are 2 Uranus, Blau, Kruger, Uranus. So skills auto regard when your unit with Blau and its card name is placed on Vanguard by riding or striding from a grade 3. Until the end of turn, this unit gets 5k and auto regard once per turn. When your Vanguard attack hits another Vanguard, counter +1, stand this unit. So if he's on, and so the first part of that skill where he gets the 5k, like stacks. So for example, if he's there and you have your Vanguard, then you stride, he gets 5k, then you use the skill and hit another grade 3, he gets another 5k. So he's pretty good like that. I have been contemplating pushing him up to 3 or 4. I'm still tossing up, so I might change that in the future. But at the moment, 2 is where I have him, so that might change in the future. He might be put up to like 3. But yeah, wouldn't play that at less than 2 because you can, you know, get a 19k that can potentially restand. And then finally for grade 2s, I run 2 copies of Oder Blau Schlief. Oder Blau Schlief. Yeah, German robots. So the skill of this particular unit is act regard once per turn, counter +1. If you have a Vanguard with Blau and its card name, until the end of turn, this unit gets 4k. Then this unit gets 4k for each grade 4 face up with Blau and its card name on your Vanguard and G zone. So basically, you're guaranteed to make it a 12k. And then for the rest of the game, because, you know, you're running a handful of Blau strides, this unit can get pretty big numbers. So if you want to push for game, or to your opponent has that extra couple cards in hand, but you know, for example, they don't have a null, if you're keeping track, then yeah, you can hit really good numbers with this. I think its max potential in this deck is an additional 20k. So it's a 28k at max in this deck. So yeah, 2 of those. Another one that I've been contemplating bumping up to, 3. So, on to grade 1s. I play 4 Rima Blau Rakut. Oh god, I'm so bad. I do apologize for these names. Rima Blau Rocket. Yeah, I think it's meant to be rocket in English. So, its skill is, when this unit is placed on rearguard, if you have a Vanguard with Blau in its card name, and the number of cards in your damage zone is more than or equal to the number of cards in your opponent's damage zone, counter charge 1 and soul charge 1. And its second skill is auto rearguard GB1, put this unit into your soul. When the attack of your Vanguard with Blau in its card name hits a Vanguard, you may pay the cost and draw a card. So this is one of my favourite cards in the deck because I love resources. Being able to just chuck it down and basically countercharge and soul charge is really nice. And then being able to chain that during the turn to put it into soul and draw another card. Again, very good. And the artwork on this card is one of my favourite arts as well. So, but yeah, wouldn't play this at 4. This is, your main resource engine within the deck, within the main cards and stuff. So I think 4 of this is a must in a Blau deck, to be honest. But that's just my opinion. And then we play 4 copies of Vesta Blau Clean. Yeah, Blau King. So it's the skill for this card is exactly the same as its grade 2 counterpart. Where is he? This guy. So, it gets 2k if you have more than or equal damage to your opponent, and you can counterblast 1, reveal the top card, put it in your damage face down, and if it's a Blau, it gets 5k. So, again, part of the reason I have it is because of the fact that it can be a 9k grade 1, which is nice, and the fact that if you really need to push that extra damage to get a couple of the skills off, the limit break based skills, then you can. So, like its counterpart, I only played at 3. This is another one where between the two of them, you have a bit of wiggle room to cut 1 or 2. But I still think 3 is good. And the art is really nice as well. That's one thing about this deck. I love the art for this deck. It is one of my favourite decks aesthetically. So, for one of the few cards in this deck that isn't a Blau, 3 Stride Fodder. This card, everyone knows what the card does. You pitch it for a grade 3, but there's no victors, so you can't use its other skill. The other card you might use is Neptune Blaukluger. He acts as a Stride Fodder if there's a grade 3 Blau in the soul, so you already need to have ridden or, put one in the soul somehow. And then after that point, when you discard him for the cost of Stride, you can call him as a rearguard. But the issue I have with that is it basically means if you play this instead of this, you're basically relying on having a grade 3 in hand to get rid of, which you don't really want to do. So, that's why I don't play him. But that is an option there for anyone who's interested. So yeah, I just play the 3 Stride Fodders because I think it's a little bit more consistent to me. And then finally for grade 1s, we play Varuna Blau Wand. Yeah. Man, these names are interesting. So this particular null is Blau's only. You can't use it in any other deck. So it has the same skill, discard a card to activate the perfect guard bit. However, I'll go through the skill in its entirety so you can see why. It's auto, discard 1. When this unit is placed in guard circle, pay the cost. If you do, choose one of your units with Blau in its card name and it gets the cannot be hit till battle, so you can only perfect guard Blau units. And its second skill is, if you have a sentinel in your drop zone, which is what these guys are, choose one of your rear guards with Blau in its card name, and that unit, until the end of turn, that unit gets resist and cannot be hit. So basically, you choose a unit and it stays on the board guaranteed no matter what, because it can't be targeted in any way. That includes being attacked. So I play 4 of these because you can save 2 units in one at once. So that's a pretty good bonus, being able to choose 2 units to survive for the turn, or whatever. So under triggers, I run 4 of the Blau crits. Act, Regard, GB1, counterblast 1, put this unit into your soul, choose up to 2 cards in total from your circles and damage zones, and turn them face up. So this is good because basically, if your goal is to flip damage, it's essentially into soul flip, countercharge 1. If you're playing against Link Joker, for example, you can counterblast 1, put it into the soul, and unlock 2 units if you would rather do that. So that's why you play 4. Because it's flexible, you can either use it as an into soul countercharge or an unlock card. So, yeah, 4 of those. Then around 2 copies of 2 Red Lightnings, into soul countercharge 1. This is like one of it's the newer art for Red Lightning in G, but it is one of the oldest cards in the Nova Grappler clan. Then I run 6 draws, 4 Blau draws. It's a Margle clone, into soul 3k. Everyone knows what they do. So yeah, Blau named draws. Then I run 2 copies of Totem Brothers, just to play an extra 2 draws. I like having draws. Drawing cards is good. Then I run 4 copies of Arago Blau Energy. It's the Tara clone heal. For those of you who are unaware, it means when you discard this for the cost of a G Guardian, if you have another heal in the drop zone, you can bind. I don't know why I said banish. You can bind the 2 of them to countercharge 1 or soul charge 1. So every clan has one. So, and this one happens to be a Blau, which just works bonus for this, for the name. So yeah. Onto the G zone. That's right. We run 2 copies of Blazer Blau Kluger. Blau Kluger. Yeah, so its skill is, and this is where the deck gets what it wants in the whole limit break thing, is Auto Vanguard Limit Break 4, Counterblast 1, choose 2 cards from your hand and discard them. At the end of the battle that this unit attacked, if you have a... Oh god, I haven't read through some. If you have a heart card with Blau in its card name, you may pay the cost. If you do, put this unit face up in your G zone. Choose up to 1 grade 3 card with Blau in its card name from your hand and write it as stand. So, that one, you need the grade 3 in your hand to be able to do your thing, which is kind of where you don't want to be getting rid of the grade 3s in your hand for Stride, which goes back to why I play the Stride fodder and not the Blau grade 1. So, yeah. 2 of those, because if you do what you want to do, you have this, you stride into that, you swing, use its skill, write another one from hand as stand, use its skill, attack, stand, everything again. Or if you have new Mond, it's basically the same premise. The idea is multiple Vanguard swings, multiple rearguard attacks. When the deck goes, when it does what you want it to do, my god, can it be hard. But it just doesn't hit the same power levels as Victor does. And so secondary, we play Son Blau Kluger. This was the first Blau stride. This was a bit more streamlined. So this one is a little more complicated. So its skill is Auto Vanguard Counterblast 1. When this unit attacks, if you have a heart card with Blau in its card name, you may pay the cost. If you do, search your deck for up to 1 grade 3 with Blau in its card name. Reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. So, as you noticed, you get the grade 3 from the deck, which is really nice. And then it also gets a skill, Auto Vanguard Limit Break 5. So, instead of Limit Break 4, you need 5 cards in the damage zone instead of 4. And then same skill. You discard 3 cards and write a grade 3 Blau from your hand as stand. So the idea with the 2 of these is that you want to basically continuously just swing, ride, basically do this like 4 times in a row, because if these go off, you're getting 2 Vanguard swings and at least 4 rearguard swings as well. With the right skills and the right setup, you can, get an extra attack or 2 if you have the right cards available. But yeah, the whole point is to just get multiple swings with, So, as you can probably tell by now, Blaus very much have their own sort of style. Then I play 1 copy of Universe Ace Buster Ed. I play 1 copy of this because I'd much rather have cards in hand with this deck. Try to get some of those grade 3s, a couple of good grade 2s. So being able to use this if you need to and just generate a good amount of hand is really nice. As you may have picked up on these two, the Blaus do not flip anything. So running into G8 is not the easiest thing. So, yeah. So having this, you can build up a G-zone and you can draw a lot of cards and potentially restand early if you want. For those of you who are unaware, it's when your rearguard stands, Soul Blast 1, flip a G unit, you get drive +1. And at the end of the battle, this unit attacked. Is it drive 5? If its drive is 5 or more, discard 3 cards, stand this unit, and it gets drive -5. So, yeah. In my Victor deck, for example, I've gotten this up to 8 checks before the restand, which is insane. So, yeah. This is pretty good for getting that extra couple cards in hand if you need it. Then I play 2 copies of Meteor Kaiser Victor, basically as either flip fodder for Ace, or if you really are in that situation, it's a free restand with an on-hit pressure of being able to restand a second unit and give it 5k. So that's why I play 2 of those. Then I play 1 copy of Favorite Champ Victor. For anyone who knows what this card does, you know that if you can pull this off, you win, basically. So the point of it in this deck is if you get to that situation where you have, 3 or 4 face-up stride units, you've done, say, this twice and stuff like that. The idea is if you have the resources to pull this off, why not? Because it'll still make a really deadly turn. Not as deadly as the Victor deck itself, because it doesn't generate as much power. But even then, you can still generate a lot of attacks off this. So, yeah, I think it's like a one-off in every Nova Grappler deck forever now. Then I run 2 Victor Plasma. It's, he restands himself. Again, if you're in a situation you don't really have any pieces, you don't have access to your Blau strides because, say, you've used them already, being able to have a restander is nice. The reason you wouldn't play Buster Ed, the restanding Buster Ed that requires, multiple face-up Buster Eds and stuff, is because of again, back to the fact that the Blau strides do not flip G units. So you can't flip a Buster Ed and then do this later in the game if you need it. So basically, you would be relying on Universe Ace to flip them to maybe use it. So it's just a bit more inconsistent. So having these 2, again, it's a restanding Vanguard swing if you're in that situation where you really need to just do something, but you're in a bad spot. So it's a good emergency. And then I play the G8, because the G8 is amazing. Counterblast 1, stand everything, and then stand everything again. For those of you who don't know, it's GB8, Counterblast 1, when this unit attacks a Vanguard, stand all of your rearguards, and then they get the skill when rest stand once, of course, and this unit gets 5k until the end of battle for each of your rearguards. So, yeah, if you're not sure how this card works, it works like this. So you'd swing with a rearguard, attack with this, pay the cost, stand it, and then when your rearguard attacks again, it stands. So it basically means every rearguard column is attacking 3 times, plus this, which is going to be like 50k if you have a full board. So, yeah, Like, yeah, why wouldn't you play this? Some decks play this at 2, and I don't disagree. Like, if you're not playing one of this in a Nova Grappler deck, what are you doing? Like, seriously. It's amazing. It's so good. Really up there with G8s. And then for the G Guardians, one Meteor Custom... Yeah, Kaiser Gundreed, lols. So you flip a unit, and it gives you the... Is it your Vanguard that gets a skill? Yeah, your Vanguard gets a skill until the end of turn. At the end of each battle, if it's not hit, you countercharge 1. So, if you chuck this in front of the Vanguard and you survive that attack, it's countercharge 1. If you null the next attack, it's countercharge 1 again. So this can be good for building up resource like crazy. So yeah, just the one. Then I play one Junior. In this deck it works because you're not stuck where it's bad because, you know, you countercharge at the end of every turn like you do with Victor, basically. But yeah, so if you have no counter blasts available, you countercharge 2 and it gets 5k. Same with Soul. If you have no Soul, you Soul charge 2 and you get 5k. This is your ultimate hard reset card for guarding. You chuck it down and just get resources. But the key is you have to have no resources. Yeah. And then rounding off my G-Zone, I run 3 copies of Dog and Titan. It's... If you have less reguards than your opponent, this unit gets 10k, which isn't that hard to do because, you know, you got a grade 1 that putting into Soul, your opponent's going to be, against this deck, you know, taking out some of your reguards, so your restanding turns aren't as bad for them. So the 10k isn't too hard. And then it also has a skill where you can Soul Blast 1 and turn it face down. Yay. To either flip a damage or a circle on your... So, like the crit, you can unlock a unit or countercharge 1, basically. So, yeah. 3 of these. Very nice. Often you would flip 1 if you use Universe Haste. So, yeah. That's the Blau deck. It's a lot of fun to play if you know how to use it. It does take a bit of learning because there is a few mechanics to it. But once it gets going, this deck can be very scary when it goes, and you have the right cards on board. It can pull out a turn that is hilarious. What really damages this deck, probably the biggest con of the deck, is the fact that it does not build the same amount of power that its other clanmates do. So, you know, like Beast Deities have a higher ceiling. Victors are insane with how much power they can build. But yeah, it's fun. The art is absolutely gorgeous. Like, seriously, one of the best looking decks in Vanguard, in my opinion. And yeah, so anyone who's looking to, you know, play a deck, an old deck that's got some fun tricks, definitely look this up. It's very cheap. You won't regret it. But yeah, thank you so much for sticking with me through this deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope someone's inspired to go out and try and build one of these and hopefully put their own spin on it. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. Adios.